All right, Luke, picture this. 18 years from now, your sweet daughter has gone off to college. She's back home for the holidays. She's bringing her boyfriend home for you to meet him for the first time. You're excited. You've heard great things about this young man. She gets to the door, she opens it, embraces you, drops her luggage to the floor, and then you hear footsteps behind her as her new man wanders through the door. And it's a filthy clanker.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that
Nothing
painful.
wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it, man. I welcome our clinker over robot. Sorry, I know they don't like that term. I welcome our overlords, man. My thing.
100%. You know who doesn't? Will Smith's character Spooner in iRobot. It's the third movie and final movie in our Will Smith trilogy.
Hurrah. Everyone's been waiting for it.
People have been harassing me. My phone's been ringing off the hook wondering when this video is going to drop.
Yeah, a lot of people wanted 7 pounds, told them to seek therapy. This is the one.
This is the one. And it's not a great one.
No, no, it's certainly not. Yeah, I mean, it clearly Will Smith was doing something right at this point because he was able to make a pretty subpar movie, triple its budget, and it didn't hurt him in any way, shape, or form. And he came out looking just as cool as he ever has. So I guess that's the power of being a movie star. But yeah, as you mentioned, this movie, it's not very good.
I do think this is an interesting aspect of it. Watching it now, I don't think it looks great just because it used a ton of CGI. I mean, it's 11 years old at this point.
Nope.
21 years old at this point. Math is hard. I think at the time when it came out, I remember people talking about like the trailer and just Alan Tudyk and the motion capture of the robots. It like was incredibly impressive at the time,
Yeah.
which I think carried a lot of the weight of the movie just being subpar in general.
Yeah, I mean, between Will Smith's star power and charisma and half of the cast being digitally created, and I don't think it looks terrible by today's standards, especially the main robot guy. But yeah, I mean, 2004, it leaves some imagery to be desired, but I don't think it's terrible by any means. It's no Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest, but it's not off.
No, what is awful is the story itself, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on just the overall plot and the characters?
I think Will Smith would be better off going to therapy than the journey he underwent in this movie. He's mad at robots for saving his life, as opposed to saving a 12-year-old girl. I suppose survivor's guilt, but that's certainly not the robot's fault. And he also eats pie from the center. I know that that's a real sore spot for you. So if you want to,
I just like Gigi, his grandmother or mom. I assume grandmother,
yeah, that's you don't call your mom Gigi.
but she brings out this just delectable pie. Well, let's backtrack for a second. He wakes up in the morning. Number one, he pulls his gun immediately, which he keeps. All of his dreams are about him and his drowning accident. So why does he keep whipping the gun out every time in a panic when he wakes up if his PTSD's from drowning?
It's as if yeah, he's shooting the ocean. It makes no sense at all.
But he proceeds to wake up and he wanders over to just a pie sitting on a nearby table. It's like half eaten. Just takes spoonfuls out of it and eats it for breakfast. While he's like, you see his
Right.
wagon. He's ripped as hell in this movie.
You think that was his?
Can't be on an all pie diet.
You think that was his genuine rear end? You think he had a double?
A wagon double?
They're
I
real.
don't know, man. At the height of your power, personally, would you be like, I'll let someone else be my wagon? Or would you like to represent your own?
Just depends, you know. Is it looking good? That
Depends on the cinematographer.
exactly. Yeah. Where's the lighting? You know. Oh yeah, Will Smith. He's got an odd morning routine. He behaves like no human being ever has, which I guess later in the movie is explained dubiously. But yeah, and he's best friends with a street ne'er do well played by Even Steven. Just it's a very odd framing of a movie that I know is based off of a novel that I think is pretty straightforward sci-fi.
Apparently, it's a series of novels that are like incredibly introspective and high concept, and they wrote a script that really closely resembled the books, and then they hired Will Smith onto the project, and he was like, "I'm gonna save the world."
Yeah.
And they rewrote, like, the entire story.
I mean, probably made more money because of that, but
Oh,
yeah.
100%. But yeah, this is, there's a good version of this movie that exists, it's called Blade Runner.
Yeah, I don't think this movie has the bones to ever be Blade Runner, but it certainly didn't have to be I Am Legend with robots.
No, it's just, there are some, like, pretty interesting some of the set pieces are really cool. I do like the whole, like, highway super speed chase scene where the robots attack his car.
Mhm.
It is funny to me that everyone around him constantly, besides Shia LaBeouf, his trusty sidekick, which might be the most inexplicable friendship since Back to the Future, but everyone just seems to think he's an unhinged psychopath, which me as the viewer personally, I was like, this guy's unhinged psychopath.
Well, yes, of course. He's a ridiculous person. I think in 2004, hating robots was more of a novel idea. I think everyone was pretty stoked on robots. Now in 2025, everyone's pretty afraid of technology and AI, and it's more likely than not that that's going to be our demise. But in 2004, what Boston Mechanics or whatever had just started making a robot that could walk. It was pretty sick.
Did you ever think that the slur from Star Wars: The Clone Wars might become like a genuine messed up slur in the future?
No. Yeah, man, it's weird. It's weird, but I love it. And I will not say anything about it because they'll be able to scrub the internet, and I want to be on the right side of history.
That would be crazy, yeah, if, all of our histories get absolutely scrubbed in, like, 20, 30 years. They're
Even
like,
further than
"You made a whole video about clankers, you're toast. Kiss your employment goodbye, buddy."
I do like the way you mentioned the car set piece, the highway chase. I do like the way that the robots kind of latch on to the hood and the roof of the car like spiders. They move a lot like General Grievous should, where their limbs are very primate like. I think it's pretty cool. And speaking of Star Wars, for some reason we already have a couple times. They do give off like clone vibes, which makes
True.
sense given how the clones end up turning out in that film. But I think that yeah, especially the warehouse full of robots, it gave me huge clone vibes.
Yeah, that is interesting because it kinda came out in between the last 2 Star Wars prequels, so it makes sense that there's a lot of parallels. Alan Tudyk in this movie apparently was left off the press tour and a lot of the promotional material because test screenings said that he outshone Will Smith. Outshone.
He
Is
out
that a word? He outshined Will Smith.
it was like the past participle, but it was not correct the way you used it.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Will Smith was upset about being outshone.
Fuck.
I'm sorry.
Alan Tudyk was left off. Well, Alan Tudyk was left off the press tour because he was too good in this movie, allegedly, according
Was
to
he
him.
see that
I
ex
feel like Sonny back in the day when this movie came out, the Sonny performance was, like, really praised at the time.
yeah, was this was post Gollum, right?
Right in the middle.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess mocap was a pretty new idea, so getting anything out of a performance like that was novel and cool, but it was good. He was very good, but I don't think it was exceptional in any way.
He's almost like the poor man's Andy Serkis. Like, Andy Serkis for a long time was not really given his due for all of his acting because a lot of it was motion capture. And I think Alan Tudyk is even more so, like, unrecognized for that because just Andy Serkis was the main name in the field.
I also just think, like, it's a different job kind of than, carrying a movie with your physicality. I don't know. Yeah. You're dressing up.
You never seen Planet of the Apes behind the scenes where Andy Serkis is galloping around?
That is that is far too big a can of worms to get into how I feel about the Planet of the Apes movies. So we don't have
Those are good movies.
so that's a podcast for another time, brother.
That's fair, that's fair.
We'll talk about the ridiculousness that is Shia LaBeouf's street dwelling anti-robot freedom fighter kind of seems like a scumbag kid, turns out to be a part of the revolution. I don't know. He comes in Lando Calrissian style. I don't know what it is with Star Wars, and really helps at the end. But for most of the movie, he's just kind of a real annoying little pest. Or twerp.
I don't understand what his character was at all.
No.
Was he a homeless kid? Why was he the leader of a human revolution he whipped together in like the span of 20 minutes?
Yeah,
He was the general of society?
I see no evidence that he doesn't live under an underpass, but he's got the influence in the community to pull together a rebel army in the end of the movie while not displaying the idea that he can even read.
Especially in his dialogue. One of the first lines he says in the movie is describing the scroll he's seen, Will Smith. And he says, and I quote, "She's ass high spankable, Spoon."
Come on, man. Guys being dudes.
And Will Smith, like, I guess the bit, he even says, like, "You gotta stop cussing. You are not good at it." Doesn't know how words work, I think.
I mean, it's a funny bit. That's a funny line, and he's got a couple more that I'm sure you'll share. But that's like a bit you should be doing with a third grader. Like,
Yeah, not a grown man.
yeah, this guy can vote. We're supposed to be in line with his political ideology.
True. He's us. He's the viewer.
Yeah, no, that's a huge misfire. I don't think anyone who made this movie had ever spoken to someone under 28. So they're just kind of imagining what a dumb young person would be like. I don't understand making your revolutionary an idiot. Doesn't make any sense at all.
As far as, I don't know, the progression of the plot, obviously the robots just kind of go
Oh,
haywire and they start attacking everyone, and Will Smith's bigotry is justified, I guess. Or really strange. Or he's like just been the worst to
yeah.
robots for a decade, and finally one event happens and he's like, "I was right, told you all."
Mhm.
And everyone's just like, "I guess."
I've known it ever since they saved my life. He is justified, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't just doesn't feel earned.
He's just an unlikable person. It's like one of the only Will Smith movies where I watched it. I'm like, this guy sucks. Like his character is not likable. But I think you mentioned this earlier. You're still rooting for him. I guess it's kind of obligatory, I suppose. But I felt myself watching the movie, and I was way more rooting for Sonny, the robot,
Certainly.
than Will Smith. Like as soon as he gets in the movie, I'm like, this is the dude.
I do think though that the character is written in an extremely unlikable way. That Will Smith carries it to being neutral, to even maybe a little likable. But we at least want Will Smith to win in the end. I think for sure. I can't imagine watching that movie and thinking I'm hoping for an AI victory here today.
Very true. I do also love the reveal that he's a cyborg, that his whole arm was replaced after his accident. I do think that's an interesting reveal. It does add, I guess, a little bit of depth to his character. It's more just cool. Well, actually, I take that back. It adds nothing depth-wise.
But he does get to block. That's pretty cool. What's the line?
Yeah,
What's
that's what he says.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought
He
it was
stops he
one word.
stops a robot from killing him, and he just goes, "Yeah."
Yeah.
He just
No,
smashes the robot.
this was truly an example of an IP sitting around, and they got Will Smith, and they were like, "Ah, do we really have to try?" And they didn't. They tripled their money. You just used to be able to throw a star in a movie, though. I mean, it's just a totally different climate at the movie theater. And I mean, Will Smith was the guy, and
True.
it didn't go sideways for a while for him.
Not until the entanglement.
Big- moving on. No,
Oh, I gotta talk about this. This part cracked me up because I think it's supposed to be played seriously. But he goes back to Gigi's house and he's eating pie with her again. And she goes, "Tastes pretty good, doesn't it?" And he says, "This might be the best pie you've ever made." And she goes, "You can come in now." And the robot comes around from the kitchen and Will Smith looks absolutely disgusted.
yeah.
like he's about to hurl.
It's really inexplicably bigoted. Like so much discrimination. It's just a pie, man.
Well, like we've already talked about, his backstory doesn't make any sense. Like the robot chooses to save him over a little girl in a horrible car wreck because it deduces that he has a higher chance of survivability, which I could see he would harbor like a
Guilt.
little bit of resentment, but not total. Like he's like accusing these robots of crime and murder left and right, and everyone's just like, "This is literally
Yeah.
never once happened ever."
I don't know. He just doesn't make any sense. He's an irrational person who's inexplicably proven right, which just makes the whole movie plot wise hard to connect to. And I know we've kind of beaten that dead horse, but it's a cool enough movie with bad dialogue and a bad plot that I kind of like watching.
Will Smith is Nico Harrison in this movie. He is justified in his actions in the end for totally unrelated reasons that just happened to take place.
Are you insinuating that Cooper Flag was worth getting rid of Luca? Because I'd bucket that.
No,
I get what you're saying.
I think it's still absurd,
Yeah,
but it makes him look a little bit less like an absolute moron and just like kind of silly
yeah.
instead.
Let's think about his uninspiring love interest.
Yeah, Bridget Moynihan, she's honestly most famous, well, she was a model, and she's most famous from this role
Mhm.
as far as her acting goes. I think she was in the show Blue Bloods, and then she's John Wick's wife in the John Wick franchise. Yeah, I don't know. She just doesn't bring a ton to I think they just underdeveloped her role. Actually, this is one of my biggest pet peeves in movies. She would say something like, "We gotta download this program into the AI to kill it." And Will Smith would go, "In English, please." And she'd be like, "We had to take the doodad and put it into the doohickey." I hate that. It's never a complicated sentence. And the main character is always like, "I'm a moron. Explain this like I'm a kindergartner."
It's still a trope, and you're right. It's remarkably stupid. I'll grant that in 2004, any computer word might have been a little confusing to a 40-year-old man.
That's a fair point. I didn't think about it in that lens.
But yeah, I mean,
Fair
she
enough.
brought very little to a part that asked her to bring nothing. And
Go girl, give us nothing.
yeah, she looked fine. She looked great. Pretty lady.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a trope of action movies in the aughts. And I mean, probably even earlier, but where at the end, they needed the kiss. They needed someone to put on the poster. They needed a name, and they didn't let him do anything for the entire movie. I guess it just makes Will Smith cooler, or like whoever your hero is makes him cooler because they get to kiss a lady.
I don't know why she would touch that man in
He's
that
smart robot.
unhinged psychopath. But yeah, I ultimately, to sum things up, I get like the plot itself is pretty thin. It's like it's supposed to be some big
No,
mystery of like what's causing this to happen, and it just turns out to be like the AI program from the company that makes the robot. It's very forgettable.
Skynet.
Um yeah, it's just Walmart brand. It's we have Skynet at home essentially. Is it Vicky? Is that her name?
Yeah, just Vicky. VIKI. It's an
Vicky.
acronym. I don't think it matters what it stands for.
Should we ask Grok if this movie's good?
No.
Alright, agreed. I just wanted to double check.
I'm not paying for Twitter Blue so that we can.
Grok, is this real? Is that a premium feature?
Isn't it? I could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't use it. I use critical thinking skills that most people don't have.
Oh man, no, I hope Grok enjoys this movie. We're gonna lose
Probably.
movie reviewers by the dozens over the next couple of years as Chat GPT cooks up better reviews than the kids who graduate college not knowing how to read and write. So
God, that's so tough. Well, we're officially old. We're complaining about how the next generation's
yeah,
screwed.
I know, right? Do you have any big picture Will Smith thoughts as we bring this trilogy to an exciting conclusion?
I kind of forgot how big of a part Will Smith had in my childhood. Like Men in Black, all the sequels.
Yeah,
This movie, he just I mean, Suicide Squad to an extent, I suppose, more like Hancock and Wild Wild West I used to watch,
Shark
but
Tales, Nick at Night played a lot of Fresh Prince reruns.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is probably the biggest presence, like, from Will Smith besides, like, Men in Black. Yeah, I kind of forgot how, like, big of a cornerstone he kinda held in, like, just, pop culture for me growing up. But, yeah, I really hope that he finally won an Oscar, but it came at way more controversy that outweighed the award, which really sucks because I like Will Smith, and I hope he's rapping about the bounce back.
I
I
liked
hope the real bounce
Smith.
back happens.
I liked Will Smith. So thank you because I think I called it the comeback last last episode. So it was the bounce back.
Is it the comeback?
No, it's the bounce back. You're definitely right.
It is the bounce back. Well, he hasn't really bounced back, but maybe if he makes another dozen songs.
He's transitioned into old man Will Smith way faster than other movie stars from his era transitioned. I just think it's weird that Will Smith, probably the most physically imposing and the youngest of the movie stars from that generation, immediately decided I'm going to take these roles where I'm an older guy, where I'm kind of exploring more mature themes, and he totally lost some of the charm that made him so special. Because there isn't really a movie star right now who can simply charm his way through a movie regardless of the quality. Maybe Ryan Gosling, but he usually picks good movies, so we don't have to find out. Maybe we will with this Starfighter. But
Ryan Gosling's actually probably the best example, which just reminds me of the Black Panther meme where Ryan Gosling's playing.
but yeah, I hope Will Smith can kind of re-find his footing. I guess it's just hard to be charming and funny when you're a horribly sad man.
Honestly, I think, and this is messed up to say probably, but if it was announced that he and Jada Pinkett Smith were getting a divorce, I feel like it would be like the king
Dude,
from the Two Towers in Lord of the Rings. And it's all the dusty crustiness just gets sucked out of him and he's just the man again. He's just ripped and charismatic as hell. Theoden. He's Theoden, dude. And Jada Pinkett's Worm Tongue.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. It's messed up. You're right. I agree with the first thing you said. But no, he's got two
I stand by it.
he's got two very talented children. He's happy to defend his wife's honor on national television. So more power to him. But yeah, this version of Will Smith has not been seen probably since he Hancock. Like it doesn't exist anymore, and there's a vacuum. So maybe he can fill it, or maybe Jaden will do it. Who knows?
Have you ever this is my one fun fact for the day. You ever realize that there's children's names are just theirs reversed genders? Will and Willow and Jada and Jada.
Did you just realize that, or because I
No, I've known it.
yeah,
It's just
huh?
you didn't know that?
No, I feel real dumb for not, but yeah, that's fun.
I think I was just in the car one day like 6 years ago and I was like, Wow." I just figured I don't know, it just it hit me. Like, that's bizarre. Alright, bye everybody. Like and subscribe.
All right. Cheers.